Hello and welcome back, wherever you are right now, sitting at a desk, walking slowly, lying on your bed, or maybe listening while the world moves around you. I'm very glad you're here with me. This is English with Thomas, and today I want to talk about something quiet, something often invisible, but deeply powerful. Today, I want to talk about self-control, not the strict kind, not the kind that feels like pressure or punishment, but the gentle, human kind of self-control, the kind that helps us pause, choose, and stay connected to who we want to be. Self-control is not about being perfect. It's about being present. And as we explore this idea together, we will also explore English not as a subject, not as a test, but as a way to describe real moments, real feelings, and real choices in everyday life. So let's begin slowly. I remember a morning not so long ago. I woke up earlier than usual. The light in the room was soft and pale, and the air felt cool. My phone was on the table next to my bed, and before I even stood up, before I stretched, before I took a deep breath, my hand reached for the phone. Maybe you've done this too. I didn't think. I didn't choose. I just reacted. Messages, notifications, news, other people's thoughts, other people's lives all entering my mind before my own day had even started. And suddenly, without anything actually happening, I felt rushed. I felt slightly anxious. I felt pulled in many directions. Nothing was wrong, but nothing felt calm. I put the phone down, and in that small moment, I noticed something important. Self-control often begins in very small moments. Not big decisions, not dramatic changes, just a pause. So I stayed in bed for a few seconds longer. I placed my hand on my chest. I noticed my breathing. In English, we often say, I took a moment. Repeat after me, slowly. I took a moment. Good. This phrase is simple, but powerful. It means you allowed space between feeling and action. And that space is where self-control lives. I didn't stop using my phone forever. I didn't change my whole life that morning. I simply chose to begin the day on my own terms. And I want you to notice the language here. I chose, not I forced myself, and not I had to. I chose. Choice is at the heart of self-control. Later that day, I was walking through the city. People were moving quickly. Cars were stopping and starting. Voices filled the air. And at a small cafe, I saw a man sitting alone. He had a cup of coffee in front of him. He wasn't looking at his phone. He wasn't rushing. He was just sitting. His shoulders were relaxed. His face was calm. I remember thinking, he looks present. That's another useful phrase. He looks present. It means he is fully in the moment. Try saying it. He looks present. Good. Presence is not passive. It's active awareness. Self-control is not about holding back life. It's about meeting life with clarity. I sat down at a table nearby and ordered my coffee. As I waited, I noticed my mind wanting to move fast, planning, thinking, judging, and again, I had a choice. I could follow every thought, or I could simply observe them. In English, we say, I noticed my thoughts. Repeat that. I noticed my thoughts. This sentence is gentle. It does not say the thoughts are bad. It simply says you are aware of them. Awareness is the first step toward self-control. When we are unaware, we react. When we are aware, we respond. There is an important difference between reacting and responding. To react is to move without choice. To respond is to pause and decide. You might say, I reacted without thinking. Try saying it. I reacted without thinking. Now compare it with this. I chose how to respond. Say it slowly. I chose how to respond. Feel the difference. One feels fast and uncontrolled. The other feels steady and grounded. And this is true not only in life, but in language learning too. When you speak English, sometimes you feel pressure. You feel rushed. You want to answer quickly, and then mistakes happen. Your mind goes blank. Your confidence drops. But what if you took a moment? What if you allowed yourself to speak slowly? Self-control in language is not about speaking perfectly. It's about staying calm inside your body while you speak. I've seen many learners improve not by studying more, but by slowing down. They pause. They breathe. They choose their words. And little by little, their English becomes clearer, not because they know more, but because they control less. They stop fighting themselves. I remember a student once told me, "When I try too hard, I speak worse." And he was right. Self-control is not tension. It's release. Let me tell you another story. A few years ago, I was standing in line at a grocery store. It was late. I was tired. The line was long, and the person in front of me was arguing with the cashier. Their voice was sharp. Their movements were fast. I could feel irritation rising inside me. Maybe you know this feeling. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts become loud. And again a choice appeared. I could let the irritation grow, or I could soften. In English, we say, "I felt irritation rising." Repeat after me. I felt irritation rising. This phrase is honest. It doesn't judge the feeling. It simply names it. Naming a feeling is an act of self-control. When you say, "I am angry," instead of shouting, you are already choosing awareness. So I shifted my attention to my feet on the floor. I noticed the weight of my body. I took one slow breath, and something changed. The situation didn't change. The line didn't move faster. But I did. Self-control doesn't control the world. It controls our relationship with the world. The argument ended. The line moved. I paid and left. But I carried something with me, a quiet sense of strength. Not because I won, but because I stayed with myself. In English, we often say, "I stayed calm." Try saying it. I stayed calm. Calm is not empty. Calm is full of choice. Now, I want to invite you to reflect. Think about a recent moment in your life when you reacted quickly. Maybe at work. Maybe with family. Maybe with yourself. Don't judge it. Just observe it. And now, imagine the same moment but with a pause. What would you say differently? What would you do differently? In English, you might say, "Next time, I will pause." Say it. Next time, I will pause. This sentence is not a promise of perfection. It's an intention, and intention matters. Self-control grows with practice, not pressure. The same is true for English. When you speak, allow yourself to pause. Silence is not failure. Silence is space. Sometimes, the most confident speakers are the ones who are not afraid to be quiet. They listen. They choose. I want to share one more moment with you. Late at night, after a long day, I often feel the urge to distract myself. Videos, scrolling, noise. And sometimes I follow that urge. But sometimes I don't. Sometimes I sit with the quiet. At first, it feels uncomfortable. My mind searches for something to hold on to. But then something gentle appears. Clarity. In English, we say, "I sat with the feeling." Repeat after me. I sat with the feeling. This phrase means you didn't run away from it. You allowed it to exist. Self-control is not avoidance. It's presence. When you learn English this way, patiently, kindly, you are not just learning words. You are learning how to be with uncertainty, how to speak without rushing, how to trust your voice. And that trust carries into life. You begin to notice when to speak, when to stay silent, when to act, when to wait. This is real strength, not loud, not forceful, quiet and steady. I think many of us believe self-control means holding everything tightly. But in my experience, it means holding things lightly, letting thoughts come and go, letting emotions rise and fall, letting words form naturally. Sometimes I feel impatient with myself. Maybe you've felt this too, when progress feels slow, when growth feels invisible. And in those moments, self-control is simply staying, not quitting, not judging, just continuing. In English, you can say, I am learning at my own pace. Say it slowly. I am learning at my own pace. This sentence carries kindness. Language learning is not a race. Life is not a race. Self-control reminds us to move in alignment with ourselves. As we come toward the end of our time together today, I want you to remember this. Every time you pause before reacting, you are practicing self-control. Every time you choose your words with care, you are practicing English. And every time you stay present, you are growing, even if it doesn't feel dramatic. You are not just learning English. You are learning how to listen to yourself, how to breathe, how to respond to life with intention, and that is powerful. Thank you for spending this time with me. This is English with Thomas. I'm Thomas. Keep speaking, keep growing, and keep trusting yourself. And as you continue listening, I want you to notice something very subtle. Nothing is rushing you right now. There is no test waiting at the end of this episode. No score, no judgment. There is just your breath, your attention, and these words arriving one by one. That, in itself, is already an exercise in self-control. Because in a fast world, choosing to stay is a choice. I want to talk for a moment about impulses. An impulse is that quick inner push that says, do it now, say it now, check it now. In English, we often say, I felt the urge to. Repeat after me, I felt the urge to. Good. You can finish that sentence in many ways. I felt the urge to speak. I felt the urge to interrupt. I felt the urge to give up. I felt the urge to check my phone. An urge is not a command. It's just a message. Self-control is the ability to receive that message without immediately obeying it. I remember once having a difficult conversation with someone I cared about. They said something that touched a sensitive place inside me, and immediately, words came to my mind, sharp words, defensive words. I could almost feel them at the edge of my tongue. Have you ever felt that moment when a sentence is ready to escape your mouth before you've fully chosen it? In English, you might say, the words were on the tip of my tongue. Try saying it. The words were on the tip of my tongue. That phrase captures the danger and the power of that moment. And right there, self-control appeared again, not as force, but as awareness. I noticed my body. My jaw was tight. My shoulders were raised. My breath was shallow. So instead of speaking, I breathed just once, slowly. And that breath changed the sentence I chose, not because I became smarter, but because I became calmer. The conversation didn't become perfect, but it became honest. Later, I thought about how often regret comes not from what we feel, but from what we say too quickly. Self-control protects our future selves. It's like a quiet friend who says, wait, let's think for a second. In English, you can say, I held back. Repeat that, I held back. This phrase does not mean weakness. It means restraint, and restraint, when chosen freely, is strength. Now, let's connect this to your English again. Have you ever stopped yourself from speaking because you were afraid of making a mistake? That is also a kind of holding back, but it's driven by fear, not awareness. Self-control is not silence caused by fear. It's silence chosen with clarity. If you don't speak because you're scared, that's not self-control, that's self-doubt. Self-control says, I can speak slowly. I can try. I don't need to rush. So next time you feel unsure, try this sentence. I'll take my time. Say it. I'll take my time. There is confidence in that sentence. Taking your time is an act of respect toward yourself and toward the listener. I want you to imagine something with me. Imagine your mind as a glass of water. When emotions rise quickly, the water becomes cloudy. You can't see clearly, but if you stop stirring, if you simply wait, the water settles. Clarity returns on its own. Self-control is not about forcing the water to be clear. It's about stopping the unnecessary movement. I think many of us were never taught this. We were taught to react quickly, to answer fast, to prove ourselves. But real language lives in the pause. That's where meaning forms. That's where honesty lives. Sometimes, when I'm teaching, I intentionally slow my speech. Not because the listener is weak, but because clarity needs space. And I want you to give yourself that same kindness. If your sentence is simple, that's okay. If your accent is strong, that's okay. If you need a moment, that's okay. Self-control allows you to stay open instead of tense. In English, we say, I allowed myself to. Repeat after me. I allowed myself to. You can finish it gently. I allowed myself to be slow. I allowed myself to make mistakes. I allowed myself to learn. There is relief in that language. Now, let me share a quieter moment. One evening, I was sitting by a window, watching the lights turn on in other buildings. Each light told a story, someone cooking, someone working late, someone resting. And I thought about how much of life happens without our control. We cannot control the weather. We cannot control other people. We cannot control time. But we can control our attention. We can choose where to place it. That is the deepest form of self-control. In English, you can say, I focused on what I could control. Say it. I focused on what I could control. That sentence is grounding. And when you focus on what you can control in language learning, things become lighter. You can control your effort. You can control your consistency. You can control your attitude. You cannot control how fast you become fluent, and you don't need to. Fluency is not something you chase. It's something you grow into, slowly, naturally. I sometimes think self-control is really about trust, trusting that you don't need to rush, trusting that you don't need to react to everything, trusting that you are allowed to take up space quietly. If you're listening to this in English, right now, you are already doing something meaningful. You are choosing presence over distraction, depth over speed, and that choice matters. As we come to the very end, I want you to take one idea with you. Self-control is not about becoming rigid. It's about becoming free, free from constant reaction, free from unnecessary pressure, free to choose your words, your actions, and your pace. And every time you practice English with awareness, you are strengthening that freedom. You are not just learning English, you are learning how to live with intention. Thank you for sharing this quiet space with me. And if you stay with me a little longer, I want to gently deepen this feeling, not by adding something new, but by letting what we've already touched settle more fully. Because self-control is not something you understand once and then keep forever. It's something you return to, again and again. Some days you will feel calm and steady. Other days you will feel reactive, impatient, distracted. That doesn't mean you are failing. It means you are human. Self-control is not a straight line. It moves like the breath in and out. There are moments when you catch yourself before reacting, and you feel proud, quiet pride, the kind that doesn't need to be shared. And there are moments when you realize later, I spoke too fast, or I lost my balance. Both moments belong to the same journey. In English, we say, I'm learning to repeat after me. I'm learning to, not I have mastered, not I should already know. Just, I'm learning. I'm learning to pause. I'm learning to listen. I'm learning to respond instead of react. That sentence leaves room for growth. Sometimes I think we expect self-control to feel strong, like holding something heavy. But often, it feels gentle, like choosing not to check your phone for a few minutes, like letting someone finish speaking, like allowing silence in a conversation. Silence is not empty. Silence is full of information. When you allow silence in English, you give your mind time to find the right word. You give your voice time to settle. You give your listener time to really hear you. In many cultures, silence is uncomfortable. We rush to fill it, but calm speakers are not afraid of quiet. They know that meaning doesn't disappear when words stop. It often becomes clearer. I want you to imagine yourself in a future moment. You are speaking English with someone, maybe at work, maybe while traveling, maybe in a simple, everyday conversation. You don't speak fast. You don't try to impress. You speak clearly. You pause when you need to. You stay present, and you feel something important. You feel steady. That steadiness is not talent. It is practiced self-control, built slowly, through awareness, through kindness toward yourself. Every time you listen to English like this calmly, attentively, you are training more than your language. You are training your nervous system to stay relaxed while communicating. That is why this kind of learning lasts. It doesn't burn out. It doesn't exhaust you. It supports you. If today you feel tired, that's okay. If today you feel motivated, that's okay too. Self-control does not demand the same energy every day. It simply asks for honesty. To notice where you are, to meet yourself there. In English, you can say, this is where I am today. Say it softly. This is where I am today. That sentence carries acceptance, and acceptance is a powerful form of control. Not control over life, but control over how you relate to it. As this episode comes to a close, I don't want you to remember every word. I want you to remember the feeling of slowing down, of choosing presence, of trusting your pace, because that feeling is something you can return to any time while speaking English, or while simply living your day. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where learning happens. Thank you for walking this quiet path with me. This is English with Thomas. I'm Thomas. Keep speaking, keep growing, and keep trusting yourself.